Hello you, welcome to Geekism and welcome back to Planquatica, our water park here in Planet Coaster 2. As we enter the main area past the market stall, we have this little spot that I wanted to put some kind of thing, a fountain or a statue or something, and I was walking through one of my local shopping centres today, and they have this awesome thing where there's like 3 metal rings and they're put like this and they rotate and it looks like they're kind of wobbling, and I was like, oh, that's neat, we could do that with rubber rings, and I think it turned out pretty good. The handles on the rings kind of break the illusion a little bit and it just kind of looks like the whole thing is turning around, but every now and again it'll just trick your mind and make it look like they're sort of toppling, and I don't know, I think it looks really neat. Found these really cool, I think they're just called Planet Coaster fountains. They've got this beautiful water animation on them, but they also have this big chunky ring on it, so I wasn't 100% sure about using it, but then I played around with it and thought, no, do you know what, it kind of looks like rings, and and maybe it's fine. Place it down and I actually think it turned out pretty well. The big problem is here with the path is on a bit of a slope, so no matter how I do this, even with a bit of foliage, there's a bit of water trickling out the back there. So I thought about it for a moment and I thought, well, rather than get rid of all of this or change it around too much, how about we put a little drain and make it look like the water just gets drained away. And there's some really great drains in the game. They're wall decals, I think they're called, but obviously they go great here as drains. There's about 3 or 4 that are very useful. I actually use them quite a few times through this episode now. I've found them, and we'll probably go back around and see if we can place them elsewhere as well. Alright, so we're moving past the play area that we built in the last episode, and because of that we need a little bit of a path heading out to this new area, which does mean I have to readjust some of my sun lounges there, and that's fine. So, what are we building today? Well, you've seen it on the thumbnail, you've read the title of the video, you're not idiots, are you? What we're building today is a slide that goes through a pool that in turn has animals in. So this may sound a little bit far-fetched, but there are a few of these that exist around the place. The only one that I know fairly well and I've actually ridden, do you say ridden for a slide? The only ones I've experienced, I guess, is the reef plunge at Aquatica in Orlando. This is SeaWorld's water park, and it's really awesome. It's one of the first things you see as you go in, to the point where actually on the they have a big stair structure that takes you up to the rise, and on the back of that is actually the sign to walk into the place, the Aquatica sign, because it's that close to the entrance. And you walk straight in and you see this beautiful pool in front of you that is home to, I want to say, some types of dolphins. They might be whales. It's that weird one where they look like a dolphin in their shape, but they have the colouring of an orca. They're like black and white. Somebody in the comments, Planet Zoo people, let me drop in my phone. Planet Zoo people who have come over, please tell me, what are they? Yeah, dolphins, but they're black and white. Anyway, they have a few of those swimming around in there. So, and it looks like this. There's a big pool of water. Theirs is a bit more naturally built. They use a lot of stones to kind of make it look a bit more natural. We actually go for a bit more of a temple build with this one. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But yeah, it's basically a big pool here, and there's glass sides so you can see in. And inside they swim about and they potter about just like you would find them at any kind of like SeaWorld type place. But also a couple of water slides just kind of push through the water here, and it's really great fun. It looks awesome. I will say, from the slide, as in if you're riding the slide, you've got no idea you can't see anything. It's not like you slowly slide through here and the dolphins pop up and give you a little wave. Like you're through the thing in half a second, and there's water splashing up in your face. There's a plane coming in and everyone's screaming. So it's a novelty if nothing else. But it just looks cool, and I thought it'd be a cool thing to try and replicate in the game. And then I saw Leaf, an awesome Planet Zoo creator who's doing really awesome stuff in Planet Coaster 2 as well. He did like a proof of concept that's basically this. There's elements there that the pipe going through the water, and he'd used some of the animatronic pieces and some of the fish sort of scenery, different inflatable fish and what have you, to create the same sort of thing, and it looked awesome. So I basically stole it. No, like I said, I already had this on the radar to build anyway, because like I say, Aquatica, you know, this park is called Planquatica, so Aquatica and Typhoon Lagoon are the big sort of influences here, and I just thought it'd be a really cool thing to try and do. But Leaf has done a really great job of it. So a few differences. Leaf actually used a real pool. I say a real pool, a pool that the guests can swim in, but didn't let the guests get up to it. There is a benefit of that in the fact that it has a much nicer water texture, and you can really see into it. You know, you see the shimmering water on the top, and it's nice and clear, and you can see the animatronics swimming around. The negative of it is that it has solid walls, and I really wanted to be able to see into the pool from the path, you know, really treat it like an aquarium builds that you could see in and appreciate the animals, but then also have this the ride going on as well. So that's why instead I actually went for the water scenery pieces that are in the game. There's 2 or 3 of them. I don't know. My graphics card isn't the newest graphics card. It is a 2080 Ti, so it should handle ray tracing on all the ambient occlusion and all the fancy lighting stuff, basically, that comes in the game. But I don't know, man. The game looks a little, like, the shadows look really washed out. That water doesn't even look hardly see-through with it. So I think I've turned it off now, and this, I don't know. I'm looking at maybe upgrading the PC in the new year anyway, so it might just be that. Or maybe I'm just looking at it wrong. I don't know. I often find with all of these kind of fancy settings, you know, we have a lot of people talk about reshade and stuff to make the game look really great. I really struggle to really notice. I think it's a color blindness thing, to be honest with you. I really struggle to know which one's better and which one's not. But I do find that currently, at least one of them off, it makes the game just look a little sharper. I will say the game in general is much more colorful, much more vibrant, saturated than Planet Zoo. I really enjoyed the Planet Zoo aesthetic. I found it to be much more real, and maybe, you know, eventually it'd be nice to find some settings that'll tweak it to kind of give it more of that sort of look, whereas Planet Coaster, you know, is a lot more sort of over the top, larger than life, very colourful, very saturated, which, you know, does work for a theme park aesthetic, but I actually preferred the slightly more melancholy, for want of a better word, look of Planet Zoo. But we're bringing a little bit of Planet Zoo here into the game with our ray pool here. The other thing I really wanted to talk about with this episode is this is the first time where I've really not just kept the first thing I built. The first few, pretty much what I started with was what I ended up with, and I'm happy enough with it for a first series on the channel, for my first sort of go into the game. I was happy with how it come out. This is the first time where I actually went back and redid bits, not the whole thing, but bits. You'll notice the beautiful wisteria there along the rock. Got rid of that in the end, and I just found that the really bright flower colours didn't really go with this ruins aesthetic we're going for, and just the sheer rock face in general. I don't know, it just didn't feel like it really went. So they go later on, as do a few other bits and bobs. We have a couple of goes at the signage. We have a couple of goes at the name. Just in general, this is the first time where I've actually just not been happy enough with what I did in the first place. I know there are a lot of players of the game who absolutely play reiteratively, is that a word? Where they just constantly go and tweak and tweak and tweak and rebuild and rebuild and rebuild, and I just don't do that. It gets me really burnt out. I put stuff down, and if it looks good, I stick with it, and occasionally I'll go back and have another go, especially once I've learnt more about the game, or we get new things, you know, with updates and what have you. But for the most part, I kind of stick with what I do first time round, and I think that's partly because there is an element, for me at least, where the end goal is the YouTube video just as much as it is the park thing, if that makes sense. So I don't necessarily want to show you videos of a load of stuff that doesn't end up sticking around. And I don't necessarily want to just lose all of my progress by changing everything. But also partly just that I'm usually just kind of happy with what I do first time round. So, you know, it is what it is. Here we use this darker foliage. I don't know whether this really works well in a tropical type of biome, but I really like the look of it. And I think it's very very useful in the ways you can use it. It kind of reminds me of the Scavolia. I never remember how to say it, from Planet Coaster 1, that I would just use everywhere. I made hedges out of it, I made ivy out of it, I used all sorts, and I feel like this bush is similar. It makes great ground cover and lots of other things. Oh my god, he's putting down a coaster. What on earth is going on? Well, it's not really a coaster. I thought I might be able to make a little track ride that we could attach fish to and then sink it into the ground and have the fish sort of swim around. It doesn't work for so many reasons. The main one being that it stops in the station for ages. So the fish, look there. Oh, that's pretty good. And then the fish just stop and hang out for a bit. I was like, no, that's no good. Okay, let's instead have another look at these animatronic pieces. We've used them once in this episode already, and I do think these are incredible, and I've started seeing people do some insane stuff with them already. It's really fantastic. But here I was just playing around with putting a horizontal one down, attaching to that horizontal one a rotational one, and then attaching to that rotational one some this fish animatronic. It's actually sort of like 6 or 7 fish on a little wire frame, and they float back and forth. Interestingly, I think it's the only animatronic in the game that is scalable. So I used that one to make them smaller to see if I could kind of replicate the idea of a shoal of fish. It doesn't really work. You'll see it stick around, but again, it is one of those things I go back and change. And then here, I do a little bit of planting and rock work on the inside as well. Again, a lot of that doesn't stay. A lot of that gets changed as well. Yeah, it's a bit of a reactive episode, this one, whereas normally that's not usually the sort of thing I do. Okay, here then I veered the path off, and I really love the idea of the path here going underneath and the rock work there, keeping that path really quite enclosed. We'll take a look at it in the live section in a little bit later on, but I kind of like the idea of it being a little enclosed, like you're walking through this little canyon almost, and it's a little bit claustrophobic even. I kind of wanted to change that because at the moment, with all the pools, there's a real sort of swathe, a real sort of open nature to the park, and I think it's interesting to try and get a little bit of variation in the terrain. Not much. I'm not a huge fan of like massive terrain variations in theme parks, because I don't think they really exist apart from a few handful ones where they're like, that's what the park is known for almost. So we are going to try and do a little bit of light terrain. Here I'm just putting a fence around. The end of this in both sides isn't really finished. The little gap that we've got currently between this ride and the play area, that will end up being a building. I'm still having a huge problem where people just won't ride the rides, basically. They just don't go on the slides. I just want to talk about this. Trying to build a little light here with an uplighter, and it just makes the roof bit glow. So instead we turn it around. I think it's quite cute though. Anyway, so having a problem where they don't really go on the slides much. Apparently, one of the ways you can help is by having changing rooms and pool pass buildings throughout the park, as opposed to just at the entrance. That's fine. That's the sort of thing you would probably have. Toilet and changing room blocks throughout the place, so I've got no problem with doing that. I do place a few of them down here. They don't do anything. In the end, I do get people to ride this. The way I get them to ride this slide is to close everything else in the park. All the other slides, all the other pools, the whole thing has to get shut down. Then they come over to this and ride it. So there's definitely an issue regarding like queue times or the amount that people are willing to walk, that kind of thing. I don't know. We call the ride here the Ruin in the Reef. I don't like it. It changes. It sounds a bit goofy. It sounds like a Julia Donaldson book. Don't get me wrong. We're a Julia Donaldson household here, folks. The Gruffalo, Room on the Broom, Tabby McTat. What's the one about scarecrows? There's one about a scarecrow wedding. I don't know. They're all in big rotation here in the house. But then they don't make good slide names. Okay, we went back to populate this pool in a little bit better. I took the rocks down and removed the foliage and thought, no, let's treat it a little bit more like a pool that needs to be kept clean. This is like a weird ray on a ring thing, but you can set it so that it doesn't move around the ring but just has an idle animation. Sinking that in and then placing it on one of those animatronics, and it turns out really much better. Like I was really overcomplicating it before. Now we've just got a few rays pottering about, and it really reminds me of the petting ray area in Azuri Gardens from Planet Coaster 1. There's nice little nods to that. the project that me and Mass Bandit did over there. Okay, yeah, there you go. Took that wisteria out and replaced it with something a little less garish. I'm much happier with it. And then the last thing we're going to really do in the episode is kind of box off the platform area here. Really trying to not make it look like a huge platform on scaffolding, but having a look around these parks, even like Typhoon Lagoon, Blizzard Beach, they do still have a little bit of these sort of like scaffolding raised up. It's, you know, really difficult to make the whole thing terrain, I think, although I am going to try and do a little bit more of a terrain slope up the back of the park, like Typhoon Lagoon, where you just have lots of like winding paths up to all the slides. I remember when I've been before, you can almost get a little bit lost trying to find the entrance to these slides, to be honest, because there isn't really a clear, just, you know, aim towards these stairs. There's windy little paths all the way up, and there's lots of little spots to find, you know, nice planting areas and stuff, and you feel like you're really exploring the place as opposed to just walking up scaffolding. But still, at some point here, you do kind of need a little bit of open platform where the slide goes under itself and what have you. And we keep it light with some tiki, because whilst the bottom of this ride does have a little bit of a ruins theme to it, a light theming of ruins, this spot is going to be visible from a good chunk of the park, so I really wanted it to sort of blend in with the park no matter where you were, so that's why we went for more of a tiki style roof. I don't know, I might come back to this and have another little play around with it, but for now, at least, I'm happy enough with it to kind of box off these slides. Yeah, first time in a build that I've sort of doubted myself a little bit. I'm happy with what it looks like. I am happy with how it's turned out, but it could probably have another little pass, this one. There's probably some tweaks we can do here. So any suggestions, let me know in the comments. We will now have a look around in real time as we start to get a bit of an idea of what it looks like in situ. All these little green triangles, we're most likely going to do a live stream where we cap a lot of these off, and we need to add benches and stuff over to that side of the place. But here we go. We have the water park that we did, the play area that we did last episode, and then we can come down to here. This will become a building, a changing room building. As we come down here, we can actually see some people ride it, because I paused the game and made sure there was a few people up there. Whee! There we go. Oh, there we go. Cool. There's your mate. I mean, yeah, okay. So here we go. We can come down here, but the nice thing is we can come down here. We can look through the glass, see the water shimmering, see the rays pottering about in there. Look, you know, it's one of these things where if you stand around and stare at it for long enough, it's going to start looking terrible. But in situ, as you just sort of wander around, I actually think it's turned out pretty well, you know. And there is no hole here. They do just clip through the water. But I don't think it looks terrible. You could maybe sit and have a load of these water pieces so that you could actually make an actual hole there. But like, that's the last time I'm ever looking down there, so it's not a problem. We ended up then renaming it Ray Bay. Ray Bay Racing Aquarium Flumes. Again, that sign is fine, but probably needs another little pass. This whole area just needs another little pass here. A bit of planting needs to happen. But I'm quite happy with the queue, and I'm quite happy with these little lampshades, these little street lamps here. And this area, as it opens up, I think is quite nice. We can get a couple of benches here. The wooden bridge across this area, and then we can ride up, and apparently we can ride them. I don't know, let's see. There's a way to click. There you go. Do we get to go down it? Have we got to wait for our turn? No, I don't know. And now we're at the bottom. Hooray, that was fun. I don't know, water looks pretty. And then and yeah, I just like the kind of idea of this coming down here. It probably needs a little bit more. Maybe some like tiki sort of scaffolding up the sides here would look pretty good. But I can't look at this. It starts to get a bit dark, and we start to get a bit of use out of that ray tracing and what have you. I turned it on for this. I don't know whether it's good or not. I'm not sure. But I like the idea of coming down here and it being a little bit. This guy's loving it. Look, it's a little bit darker as we come down, as we open up into whatever will be the next area. I think it's quite a cool little change from the. Let's be honest, the rather sort of stark and open view that we've got here. I mean, this will be better with some planting. This maybe needs to be quite heavy planting, I think, so that we don't see so much of the lazy river. I think that's probably the key here, is that the lazy river starts to get a little bit hidden more like it is over this side. Let's just sploosh in. Whoop, there we go. More like it is over here as we come down. We actually can't see it, or we just kind of get little glimpses of it. Yeah, I think that's the way to go. This sort of light terrain variation here is the kind of level I'm happy with for the most part. I think it's a bit more realistic, and also I love the new the path features so we can have this much sort of softer gradient all the way down, much easier. But yeah, I like this, the fact that you don't see any of the lazy river there. It's all sort of hiding. Can I? Oh, it will not let me walk into there. That's interesting. There we go. We found a way in. Do not panic. Yeah, I think that's definitely what we need to do, is work on tying that lazy river in a little bit more. Are they riding these? Somebody's going up there. Oh, yeah, somebody's coming down the red one. Sploosh. Good job, buddy. It's a kid ride, you're a grown man, but good job. I appreciate you. There we go. All right, thanks so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. Next one, I don't know. I'm not sure what we build next. Give me some suggestions in the comments. I would love to hear it. Thanks for watching. Love you all to bits. Till the next one, be good.